Well, here we are at Cotswold Airport. Used to be known as Kemble. It's cold, it's wet, and what we're doing is putting in the anchors now to mount the engine test bed. What we've got to do now is to run the Spey engine up to max power and then into reheat, make sure everything works all right, and after that it goes back into its shed until we start building the boat. So it's a very crucial time right now. That engine's got to work.
It's a freezing cold January day at Cotswold Airport. Over the past few weeks, the thrust team have been busy preparing for another test of the Spey jet engine, which will power their challenge for the world water speed record. The team's specially designed test stand has been anchored to the ground between two containing walls built out of concrete slabs. The fuel system, control cabin and cabling necessary for the test have all been installed at the edge of the airfield. Finally, the Spey 205 engine has been installed and all the necessary connections made despite typical British winter weather.
The next thing we've got to do is to just basically sign off on the engine. We weren't able to do that at Newquay because it looked as though we were going to bring down the building. There was an enormous resonance. So we're back here again at Cotswold, and they very kindly allowed us to run up the engine in Afterburner. The engine will then be inhibited, it'll go back in its bag, and its next move is to actually put it into the boat, and we have a boat.
Thanks to the test in Newquay, the team already know that the engine runs up to full military power. However, to have any chance of beating the existing world water speed record of 318 miles per hour, they will need to harness the extra power of the engine's reheat, or afterburner, which will boost the engine's thrust by almost 70%. Neil Forrest is supervising the test.
I was 34 years at Rolls-Royce as a development engineer, a chief development engineer. When I first started at Rolls-Royce, the first project I worked on was military spray in Bride, which was these engines for Phantoms, Buccaneers, which a couple of which are parked next door, Nimrods, and AMXs, which was a single engine spray for Brazil and Italy. I guess it's similar to going back to previous project that used the same engine. It's all about drag and thrust. So compact military engine with an afterburner on it gives you the best thrust for the smallest drag.
We have the intake and the LP compressor, which is driven by the LP turbine. We then come to the bypass casing, and central to that is the HP compressor with the bypass on the outside of it. And then we come to the burners and the combustion chamber, and then the turbines. And then we come to the reheat jet pipe. The whole thing about reheat is for a jet fighter you need extra thrust, so you burn fuel in the jet pipe. We also need to control the fuel system in non-reheat, and that's the amplifier that is fitted here. The reheat itself is controlled by the nozzle. As fuel is poured in, it's the nozzle that controls the reheat and the pressure in the jet pipe. Afterburner is the American term, so you can use either. So if you need more thrust, you need to burn fuel behind the engine and control that so it doesn't affect the engine, but also to give you more thrust. Well, we'll start the pollute up first, and then as soon as the pollute started up, then we'll go to start.
By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the team are ready to start the engine and test the reheat. An electronic module called an amplifier, which monitors the temperatures inside the jet engine, is refusing to allow the reheat to light. The team try again. And again. And again. Fortunately, the thrust team have several spare amplifiers, and so the module is replaced. With dusk approaching, everybody has their fingers crossed.
Hopefully we can get it nailed tomorrow morning. So we're just going to have to save the bottle of whiskey for another night.
It's day 2 of the crucial reheat test, and the thrust team are still pondering the previous day's problems. They suspect it's an issue with an electronics module that controls fuel flow to the reheat.
This is the connector at the back of the engine where they've got the main service stick.
Yeah.
This shows the live going to pin C and the neutral going to pin D. We are sending the live to pin C and the neutral to pin R, which is grounded.
So are we going to swap them over and give them a try?
Yeah, it's a bit of work. It's straight to pin at the nose spec. Worth a go though.
Our fundamental problem is we can't control the engine temperatures. That's the difficulty. And there is an amplifier which is part of the system, and that amplifier is part of the trim system. And what it does is it trims the fuel going into the engine in order to keep the temperatures of the turbine down to within tolerances. Now the problem is the amplifier isn't doing its job. We have 6 amplifiers, so we've got some spares. We think possibly we wired them up the wrong way because we've got all the documentation here, and there is a conflict between 2 different sources of documentation. It may well be that changing a couple of wires around, as simple as that, might just solve our problem. And if it does it, then we'll run reheat tonight, and then we can all go home.
The modifications take several hours, but by mid-afternoon, the team is ready to test their theory that a simple wiring fault has been the cause of all of their problems.
Lighting up perfectly. That's from what camera? Look at that.
Very, very happy indeed. We have licked it. It's absolutely terrific. And it's a good engine, there are no leaks, a nice light up. Excellent.
Happy. One last go. We've still got some fuel left. So.
The team have proved that the reheat will light, but they still need to test the engine at full power. As the light begins to fade, there is just time for a final run before the airfield closes. Thrust WSH team now know that they have a fully operational engine to power their challenge for the world water speed record. Meanwhile, the research and design programmes continue. Stay tuned, subscribe to the WSH channel, and you'll be the first to hear what happens next.